Embark on an adventure of dark fantasy, steeped in fear, myth, and superstition. Hunt or be hunted by creatures of antiquity and legend. Search dangerous locales to find clues to the source of evil sinking its claws into the heart of a land, devastating its people and settlements. Free the denizens from the scourge of witchcraft and vampirism. Harness the power of artifacts long forgotten and find rituals from the pages of the dreaded Necronomicon. Can you survive, or will you play on as a ghost? Worse still, will you be doomed to transform into one of the creatures that hunt by night?
Hello everyone, this is Keith, and welcome to the Solo Gamers Club. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'd like to apologize for the lack of new content on the channel as of late. My father was in the hospital, and he's now back at home, and he's doing well, so I would imagine we're going to have more regular content in the future. A few weeks ago in my 2025 New Year's address, I alluded to a few things that I was considering bringing to the channel, and one of those was a monthly installment of a new campaign-style game that I would like to bring to the channel, and I decided to select Folklore the Affliction. I was able to acquire the final big box expansion for the series, and this is the Fall of the Spire expansion, and this is going to give us a lot of extra cards and a new initiative mechanism that we're going to be able to use even predating this expansion for the initial scenario, so that's going to be quite good. So join me as we embark on a journey of mystery, exploration, and deadly encounters as we play Folklore the Affliction by Greenbrier Games. I'm going to begin this video with a brief overview of the game and the supplementary components that I'll be using in this series. Following that, we'll randomly create our characters and prepare them for the tasks at hand. Finally, in this introductory video, we'll play through the demo story, Spiritual Unrest, and prepare to commence our journey into the rugged and mysterious lands of Kremel. So come along with me as we learn to play Folklore the Affliction. Folklore the Affliction is a dark horror fantasy board game developed by Greenbrier Games. In Folklore the Affliction, players delve into the world inspired by Gothic European folklore and mythology. Up to 5 players will select a character from 18 unique classes, embarking on a cooperative, narrative-driven adventure. The game is structured like a traditional tabletop role-playing game, with a full campaign and numerous quests and side quests. Players journey through the land of Kremel, confronting sinister creatures and overcoming various challenges to uncover and stop the afflictions plaguing the world. Currently, I own the core box along with the big box expansions Dark Tales and Fall of the Spire. These expansions will offer us a revised combat system, including an improved initiative system. Now, I don't own the models for this, so we'll be using the standees, and I'm actually happy I did that, as I don't have to paint all of those. And the standees, I think, will be just fine for what we're doing. These expansions will offer us exciting road and off-road adventures, rumors, new equipment, and a trove of other supplemental material. In connection with these expansions, I've also acquired additional materials, including the Equipment Card Pack, Crafting and Recipes Pack, World Events Pack, and the Adventure Creation Kit, along with some other deluxe materials. The Equipment Pack provides us physical representations for text-only items or companions that would normally be recorded only on the character journal. The Crafting and Recipes deck is shuffled into the item deck, and it allows the characters to create either new items or augments for existing items. To craft these elements, the player must obtain the required components. The World Events deck contains 4 different types of cards: Environment, Festivals, Seasons, and Towns. A World Event card is drawn at the start of each chapter or story. 2 new elements from the Dark Tales expansion include Rumor and Heirloom cards. As an additional action at an inn, the character can draw a Rumor card. It's limited to once per story, and the character can only hold 1 rumor at a time. Rumors offer the player side quests that they can undertake to advance their investigations. During character creation, each character may draw an heirloom card. This card cannot be lost or stolen or traded, and it remains with the individual until the end of the campaign. I'm also considering using the Advanced Encounter and Advanced Skirmish rules during this campaign. These rules will provide extra tactical options during combat. This is a copy of the Advanced Encounter and Skirmish rules that I think I'm going to be including in the game. This is going to give us a lot more tactical options during the gameplay, so I think we're going to include these. This is going to be my first playthrough of this, by the way, so I might be adding a little too much, but I think we can handle this. Some of the deluxe components that I was able to acquire will include these Vita trackers for the foes and for our characters, along with this really nice metal coin that's going to help us to determine whether it's daylight or nighttime. And now that I've acquired that Fall of the Spire expansion, we have access now to all of the story journals that are available for the game. We've got Story Journal 1 from the core box. We've got Story Journal 2 from the Dark Tales big box expansion. We've got Story Journal 3, and that came with the Adventure Creation module that I picked up. Story Journal 4 from the Fall of the Spire expansion, and then that Adventure Creation kit where we got Story Journal 3 from. So that'll give us a lot of extra content to make the game a lot more random for us. Now we're going to move on to our character creation, and I want to build a random party, so I've constructed a D1000 table that will randomly select the character's profession and focus. You're probably wondering, why does Keith use a D1000? Why not a D100? It has to do with the round off. If the sample that you're putting into that is too small, you get sometimes too large of a round off. So by using a larger field like a D1000, we have less round off included in this. So what we're going to do is the table includes all 18 characters that I currently have. We're going to roll a D1000. We'll read that as red, white, and blue. And we're also going to use one of these fudge dice. And depending upon the result of that, we'll choose our focus. If it's a positive, it'll be focus 1. If it's a negative, it's focus 2. And if it is a neutral, we're going to pick it. So we're going to make 3 rolls. My party will include 3 characters. And in addition, we're going to also be using the heirloom card deck. And each character that we create is going to have a draw from the heirloom card deck. So we'll begin by rolling our D1000 with the fudge die, and we'll see what we get for a character class. First one is a 0, 9, and a 1, and a neutral. So 91 is the woodsman, and since it is a neutral fudge die, we can pick either trapper or ranger. Let's get his card out. All right, so we have the woodsman, and we can pick either trapper or ranger for his focus. And let's take a closer look at those choices. Well, the trapper ability says the trapper's knowledge of setting snares is superb. He has 2 snare tokens to use per combat. He may place them in any space he lands on to trap it. A foe entering a trap space immediately suffers 1d4 damage. The snare token is then removed from the board. Foes cannot see the location of traps, so their movement is not affected. Or we can choose Ranger. Once per chapter, The ranger may take 2 off-road cards and choose which to encounter, placing the other on top of the deck. He may only read the front of the off-road cards. He may choose which animal companion to hire at the stables instead of randomly drawing. All right. Well, that's a tough choice, but I think I'm going to go with the trapper. So our first character is a woodsman, and his focus will be trapper. Now we'll make the roll for the second character. If we happen to roll up the woodsman again, we'll have to re-roll because only one character of each class can be present. Here's the roll. This time we have rolled a 797 with a negative fudge die. 797, that is going to be Magus. And the negative focus is going to be the Stargazer. So let's get his card out. So we've drawn up the Magus, and he's going to be Stargazer. Once per chapter, you may spend 1 power point to create a world event. If a world event is already in play, this replaces it for the chapter. These events apply only to characters. Roll a d6 to determine the event that occurs. You may activate 1 aura per combat, as detailed within the skill tree. Okay, that's great. All right, so we have 1 more character class to determine. We'll make our rolls and see what we get. This time we have 175, whoops, that's a 5, 175 with a neutral result. So 175 is going to be the Witch Hunter, and we'll be able to choose if we want Inquisitor or Bounty Hunter. So we've got the Witch Hunter, and we can choose which focus we want. Inquisitor, you are a master of interrogation and information gathering. You may interrogate a mortal creature instead of killing them. If your attack would kill the target, roll a d6 on the effectiveness of your interrogation. Otherwise, we have Bounty Hunter. At the beginning of each story, roll a d6 to determine your target bounty. Each time you land a killing blow against that creature type, you gain 1d6 extra coins. You may re-roll your bounty every time you enter a new town. Okay, so those are our choices. And I think we're going to select the Bounty Hunter. And that will be our choice for our Witch Hunter. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back in a little bit. First I'm going to fill out our permanent record sheets for our characters. I've printed these out on some parchment paper, and they've got a front and a back side for each. And I also printed out a set of names that I can use to randomly determine the name of the character, and we'll use this to name the character, and then I'll come back and we're going to go through each of the bios for the classes that we've selected, and we'll also draw their heirloom cards. Now for our first adventure, when the time comes, I've decided to, instead of starting with story 1 in book 1, we're going to use these characters to go through this demo that was developed by the creator of the game. And this is something that he developed to teach the game at one of the conventions. And it was used in Gen Con 2015 to show the basic mechanics of Folklore the Affliction. And I think rather than starting into book 1, story 1, and chapter 1, we're going to use this, and what I'll do is we'll play through this story demo using the characters that we are going to create, and then we're just going to reset any values on them that would change during this story, and that'll give us a good chance at finding out how the game plays without affecting us in the future for the actual story. And I think this might be a good way to prepare us without ruining that story with poor play. Will give us a little bit of a chance at improving our play before we actually start the scenario. So I'm going to come back after I fill that information out, and we'll go through each of the characters and learn a little bit about their background and capabilities. All right, let's take a closer look at the classes of 3 characters that are going to compose our party. First up is the Woodsman. And that says, the woodsman is a survivalist and trapper, raised to live off the land. He has seen tracks and found evidence of creatures in the wild, that are not of this world. The woodsman has left the forests to hunt for the creatures upsetting the balance of nature. All right, examining the interior part of the woodsman's card, we see his starting abilities. And he has the game huntsman starting ability and the taxidermist. His starting equipment will be the woodsman's axe. That's going to give him a d4 plus 1 damage. It's a two-handed weapon though. And he'll also begin with a set of bandages. On the right side of his card are his location extras, and that means that when he's visiting a town, these are special actions that only he can take at these specified locations. On the back of his card is his lore tree, and when he gets to those amounts of lore that he earns, he's able to gain either choice 1 or choice 2. Now we've selected the trapper ability for the woodsman, so when he gets up to a lore of 200, he's going to have to use the trapper benefit on choice 1, gain plus 1 damage versus nature foes. That's how that will work. He'll also be awarded AP, and he can use those during the game to purchase new abilities. Next up, we have Magus. His bio reads, a remnant of the ancient Zoroastrian who watch the sky and read the signs for portents. Like those before him, he studies the secrets of the universe. The Magus comes from the east in search of the source of upheaval and terror he has seen in the stars and in their alignments. Believing in divine inspiration behind all things, he brings knowledge of the supernatural and mastery of metaphysical in his fight to take down forces that do not belong in our world. Now, we've selected the Stargazer ability for him. Opening up his book to the inside, we find out that he has the starting abilities Corrosionist and Touch of the Magi. His starting equipment will be a Falcata, which gives him a d4 damage. It's a single-handed weapon. He'll also begin with bandages and vitriol, which can be used to inflict 1d6 damage and to throw the opponent back 2 spaces. He also has the special ability, Ancient Knowledge. At the start of each story, he can receive a random prayer or ritual if he has neither. He's going to select a prayer, and we'll take a look at that more closely a bit later. Once again, on the right-hand side, you can see his location extras that he is eligible to take advantage of. And on the back is his lore tree. Now he selected the Stargazer focus, so when he gets up to lore of 200, he will have to take choice 2. Finally, we have the Witch Hunter. His bio reads, the Witch Hunter is a fanatical bounty hunter who adheres to a strict code of honor and is sworn to purge the world of evil. He is a member of a sect of inquisitors that have hidden behind those in power for centuries, advising and influencing. He is an accomplished huntsman and tracker, using his skills as a weapons specialist and marksman to hunt the creatures of the night. The Witch Hunter is a decisive and trained interrogator. With his knowledge of the Malus Maleficarum, he inflicts his own brand of justice. Now we've decided to focus the Witch Hunter on as a bounty hunter. At the beginning of each story, we're going to roll a d6 to determine his target of the bounty. And each time we land a killing blow against that creature, we can gain 1d6 extra coins. He's going to begin with the starting abilities in the scope and tracker. His starting equipment is a crossbow, and that's a ranged item, and it has 3 loads of ammo. He'll also begin with a bandage. The right-hand side, once again, are his location extras, and he has quite a few. And finally on the back is his lore tree. And you can see from his lore tree that he has quite a bit more flexibility than the other characters. He's able to have more choices to select from. Choice 1 or Choice 2 is available, including when he gets up to 500 lore, there's still two choices there for Bounty Hunter. Now I filled out a character sheet for each of the characters and I've named them. Our woodsman is going to be Alec Vorster. Our magus is going to be Sasan Sobhani. And finally our witch hunter is Kane Shears. Now each of them are going to draw an heirloom card which they're going to keep throughout the campaign. In the case of the magus, Sasan has also selected a prayer and that'll be randomized. It's a random prayer from the deck. So let's take a look at what these cards are. For our woodsman, his heirloom is going to be Fossilized Knucklebone. Exhaust for the rest of the story to re-roll any one die. For Sasan, his heirloom is going to be a Rabbit's Foot, +1 to search rolls. And his random prayer that he'll begin with is Expulsion from Limbo. Your prayers call out to the lost souls of your allies. Characters in Limbo return to the game in ghost form with 1d6 ghost points. That is a faith cost of 8. Finally, we have Kane Shears, the Witch Hunter, and his heirloom is Smelling Salts. Exhaust to heal 1 Vita to 1 target. All right. Incidentally, Vita is our hit points, and PP is our power points, and those can be used to perform special actions. I was able to acquire these Vita and PowerPoint trackers, and this is going to be a lot better than the system that the game came with. It was a little on the wonky side. This is going to be more easily useful to us. We simply turn the dial and we can either decrease or increase their Vita or PowerPoints. On the reverse side is for foes. And I've got a collection of those for our playthrough. Now taking a look at our woodsman a little bit more closely, he has 23 Vita and 5 power. He's going to gain +4 might, +2 to damage, and he has a defense of 36. He's our strongest physical character. Sasan Sobhani has 21 Vita with 6 power. He's our most powerful character with power points. And he also has a defense of 36. Might of +4 and damage +1. And incidentally, the stride is the movement. That's 4 for him. And finally, we have Kane Shears. He is the Witch Hunter. He has 21 Vita with 5 power, +4 to might, +2 to damage, and he's our best defensive character. He has a defense of 38. His stride is 4. So with those introductions complete, we can start our story demo, Spiritual Unrest, and we'll be doing that next. We're going to begin by checking the story demo header. In this case, it tells us that this is going to be a Dusk mission. Dusk is the easiest level, and that's usually for 0 or 1 completed mission parties, which is what we are. We're going to be starting in Ostalink, so we'll be placing our group pawn in the town of Ostalink. And then it tells us that this will take us approximately 30 minutes. So we'll place our group pawn in the town of Ostalink. Now, since we're using the World Events deck, and this is the start of a story, we get to draw a World Event card, and that's what we're going to do now. And the card is revealed to be a festival. It's titled Festival of Elish. Merrymaking, frolicking, and the brewing of ale has caused people to let their guard down. Strong drink is available at the inn for 15 coins, which provides +2 to damage and -10 might for the current chapter. It's not stackable. All right. Now our Magus character, Sasan, has a special ability called Stargazer. That's his focus. Let's take a look at that. His Stargazer ability reads, once per chapter, you may spend 1 power point to create a world event. If a world event is already in play, this replaces it for the chapter. These events apply only to characters. Roll a d6 to determine the event that occurs. So that is an option for us. He'd have to use up one of his 6 power points, though. And I think Sasan will hold off on using his stargazing ability. We'll take a look at how our characters are arranged. Our leader is currently the woodsman. His name is Alec Vorster. Now we've placed his items that he's carrying in his hands on the right side of the card. Anything that he is not carrying is in his backpack, which is placed on the left side of the card. We've also put out some other tokens for him. He has this woodsman ability where he can use a tracking token on nature or mortal foes, and we've got a tracking token out for him. We also have 2 trap tokens or snares, and he can use that because of his trapper focus that allows him to lay down 2 snare tokens per combat. So we've got those available to him. Player number 2 is the Magus, and his name is Sasan. He has a falcata in his hands right now, and in his backpack he's got his rabbit's foot and his prayer. Now one of his abilities is Corrosionist, and it says add a corrosion token to your attack before making the attack roll. And this is the corrosion token that we can add to an attack. Incidentally, all of the information that you need is on the back of these tokens. So it tells you corrosive, lose a vita for 4 rounds. And then what we would do is cycle the token using the counting positions of that token, or I have these little dice, and I think we will probably end up using these as the direct marker for those. And finally we have our 3rd character, the Witch Hunter, and his name is Kane Shears, and he has this tracker ability. It says you have superior skill at routing your enemies. Reroll a missed ranged attack or recover 1 ammo, usable during a skirmish. Now you'll notice that these have 2 classifications, either active or passive. The passive can be used at without cost. That's just the amount of points it would take to learn that skill. But when it's active, you have to pay this amount in power points in order to activate that skill. Right now he has his trusty crossbow in his hand, and it has 3 loads of ammo right now.
During your quest to drive evil from the land, you come upon the town of Ostelink. Its villagers are recovering from a strange illness that claimed many lives. The graveyard is overburdened, and only the wealthiest can afford the plots that are left. Desperate for a place to bury their loved ones, the common folk have taken them to the ancient burial ground of Gorin tombs in hopes to laying them to rest. However, none of the townsfolk who have recently made the journey have returned. You quickly realize that something dangerous must be lurking within the tombs. Perhaps somebody in the town has information that might help you.
Well, knowing what we know about the background of this story, our next step is to choose our path. And our choices are, it says, will you seek out the gypsies who have knowledge of such cursed places, or visit the town chapel to see if the priest can help? If we select the gypsies, we will read story moment number 1. And if we select the chapel, we'll read story moment number 2. And I would think that since the witch hunter is a part of our party, given his background, I think he would be more inclined to advocate for reading visiting the priest at the chapel. So we're going to read story moment number 2. All right, so we've decided to visit the chapel and speak to the priest. So we're going to read story number 2. I blocked out story 1 so we don't give out too much information in case one of you want to play through this story. Won't spoil it for you. And it reads, you find the chapel of Osterlink near the center of town. The priest greets you on the steps of the church and joins you in a prayer. All characters pass Faith 6. All right. If you are successful, become brave. +1 nerve and +1 damage as the priest finishes the prayer and praises you for bravely facing this deadly evil. He then gives the group a holy water and wishes you safety in your exploration of the Gorin tombs. So the group is going to gain a holy water. Let's find out what that does. It says, holy water, fill for +2 damage for 4 uses, thrown for 1d4 damage. All right, and that's a group item, and we'll give that to, I would say, the witch hunter probably. We'll give it to him. And that's going to have a total of 4 uses. So we'll mark it with a 4. So we have to make a faith check, and we'll begin with our woodsman, Alec Vorster. Take a look at his sheet and see if he gets any bonuses for faith rolls. And he does. He has +1 to faith. So we're going to make a d10 roll, and we'll add 1 to the result, and we're trying to get a 6 or higher. All right, here's the woodsman's check. He rolls a 2, +1 is 3, and that's not good enough, so he's failed that. Next up is our Magus character. That's Sasan. See if he gets any faith bonuses, and he does. He has +2 to faith, so we'll be adding 2 to the result. Here's the roll. 2 and 5 is 7, so we've exceeded, equal or exceeding the test number. So we're successful, so he's going to gain that brave ability. So he's going to gain +1 to nerve and +1 to damage. So we'll update his character sheet, giving him an extra +1 modifier to his damage, moving it up to a total of 2. And then he gets 1 modifier for nerve, so he's at +1 for nerve, and that's going to last for I believe, the rest of the campaign. Let's see. No, that's just for the story. It'll just last for this story. And now we'll check the witch hunter, Kane Shears, and let's see if he has a +1 to faith, so we'll be adding 1 to the roll. Result is a 5 that's modified to a 6, so he's also going to gain those bonuses for brave. I forgot I have these tokens that we can use for these statuses. In this case, this is the brave token. It tells us what we get, +1 to nerve, +1 to damage. So we update our nerve at +1. We had our base 2, +1 is +3, and our damage is 2 for the base, 1 for the modifier, +3. So we'll return to our story sheet, and it says, with the information you obtained, you're ready to travel to Gorin tombs to face whatever haunts its depths. And we're going to be doing some world map travel. Travel from the town of Osterlink to the caves of Gorin tombs. All right. The Gorin tombs are located southeast from Osterlink, so we're going to begin our overland travel. And what we do there is we look at our leader. Our current leader is the woodsman. And it always begins with daytime. And then once we make a move on the overland map, we're going to invert the token and pass it to the next character. In this case, it'll be Sasan. Okay, so to make moves on the overland map, we have to check our character's stride. Stride of the woodsman is 5, so we have 5 movement points that we can spend. Our choices are to move along the road towards the Gorin tombs, or we could go off-road, and that's more dangerous. We're going to take the road. So we'll make a move of 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that we've made a move on the overland map, we have to draw a road event. In this case, we're on a road, so we'll draw a road event. We're going to be reading the daylight result for that. The card reads daylight and night. So we're going to be reading the day. It says, when birds attack. The crows and the blackbirds had turned unnaturally vicious, attacking the group. All characters must pass Trickery 6 to avoid them. Otherwise, they lose D6 Vita. Okay. All right, we'll make that Trickery test starting with the Woodsman. And he has no bonus for Trickery, so we're going to be making this roll unmodified. Okay, here is the roll. We need a 6 or greater. And he's failed. He rolled a 3. So he's going to be losing D6 Vita. We'll get a D6 out and make the roll and see how much he loses. And he loses 1. So we take his Vita tracker and we'll subtract 1 from that, moving him down to 22. From 23 to 22. Now we'll do the same for Sasan, the Magus. He also does not have any bonus for Trickery, so we need a 6 or greater for him to pass. Rolls a 5, he's failed. He's going to lose D6 Vita. He rolled a 2. So we're going to move him down from his starting 21 down to 19. He's at 19 now. And finally we have the Witch Hunter. He also does not have any Trickery bonus. So he is going to have to roll straight up. He needs a 6 or greater. He's got a 10. He's passed. So that's great. He won't lose any Vita. So now we've done some overland movement. We're going to invert this token to the night side. We're going to pass that to the next player, and that's going to be Sasan, our Magus. So we'll begin another round of overland movement. Our new leader is Sasan, and he currently has a stride of 4. So he's got 4 movement points, and that's plenty for us to move into the Goron Tombs. 1 and 2, and we've reached the Goron Tombs. We'll go back to the story and see what it says. And we read the portion that says, when you arrive at Goron's tombs, the entryway of this accursed burial ground is littered with the gray, lifeless forms of those who could not escape the evil that lurks within. You must rid this place of its affliction. You stumble through the mist, following the trail of dead bodies strewn across the ground. We need a story skill check, and the leader is going to have to pass an awareness 5 test. So we'll get out our story die, and our leader has an awareness. Let's take a look at his card more carefully. He has no bonus for awareness. All right, so we're going to have to make this roll straight up, and we're going to need a 5 or greater to pass this. Okay, here is the roll. He's rolled a 10. So we've passed it, so we'll read the success portion. It says, can you find the crypt that leads into the depths of the tombs, and quickly as the dead are restless? The success portion reads, the trail of bodies makes finding the crypt entrance fast work. Continue with the story by reading the crypt section. All right. So we're instructed to read the crypt. And that says, you reach the mausoleum entrance and descend into the crypt. Wandering the chamber are 2 flesh-eating ghouls, chewing on stray bones. Hovering in the center of the room over a large sarcophagus is a wispy spirit with burning red eyes. Story skill check, awareness 7. All characters must pass that. All right. And that's going to be tough because none of our characters are going to be gaining bonuses for awareness. We'll begin by making the roll for our woodsman, Alec Vorster. Here's his check. He rolled an 8. He's passed. Next up is our Magus, and that's Sasan. He rolled a 3. He's failed. And finally, we have our Witch Hunter, Kane Shears. He rolled a 9, so everyone has passed except our Magus character. And we'll read the success portion. All characters have to pass it, so if we don't, then it's a failure. All right, so Awareness 7, all characters. Is there something strange about the large sarcophagus in the center of the room? And I would imagine if all characters didn't pass, then it's considered to be a failure. So it says no, it must have been your imagination. All right. All right, we'll continue by flipping over the card, and it says, the restless spirit looks at you with a malicious fury for invading its resting place. Feeling its hate, you realize the townsfolk must have perished at the will of this creature. The spirit rushes forward with the arms of death. And we have a map set up. It says, use tomb tile FC07B. All right, we'll get that out and see what we've got to do. All right, so we have tile FC07B, and each tile is located, has a designation in the lower right-hand corner of it to tell you which one it is. In this case, FC07B. So examining that tile, there's symbols on this. Tells us where to place the enemies that we're going to be facing, some search tokens, and where we're going to start. We'll look at our primary goals. It says to defeat the restless spirit and flesh-eating ghouls. See the encounter dialogue box. After the combat is complete, read the after the fight. And our optional goals would be to investigate all search locations. Now this is an encounter. Encounter 1 restless spirit and 2 flesh-eating ghouls. If you completed the awareness skill check regarding the sarcophagus, see the map skill check for an alternate way to defeat the restless spirit. Well, we didn't. I hope I played that right. It looked like all of the characters had to pass that. I'm not quite certain of that, though. I'll have to investigate that. All right, so we've set up the board according to that diagram. We have a restless spirit. He's going to be the yellow foe. We have a flesh-eating ghoul. He's the black foe. And another flesh-eating ghoul. He's the orange foe. Now I'm lacking these Vita trackers. I've ordered another set, but at present I only have 5 of them, so I'm missing a Vita tracker for the orange foe. So we're just going to use dice to record his totals. The restless spirit has Vita of 20, and both of the flesh-eating ghouls have 21. So we'll get 21 out for the orange ghoul. So until I get my new set of Vita trackers, we'll be using a 20-sided die and a 10-sided die to record the orange foe's Vita. Now, I forgot during setup, our Witch Hunter has a special ability, Bounty Hunter, and we're supposed to make a die roll, a d6, to tell us which of the types of characters he's going to earn a bonus extra coins for. So we'll roll a d6. The roll is a 6, and that is interesting. That's going to be the same symbol as our flesh-eating ghouls. So we're going to gain a bonus if he can get a killing blow on a flesh-eating ghoul. That's great. You'll see on the cards for the enemies, they have a symbol in the upper right-hand corner, and that one matches what we rolled. So we're going to be gaining an extra 1d6 extra coins if our Witch Hunter can get a death blow on one of those creatures. That's interesting. Incidentally, the Vita is going to be scaled depending upon the number of characters that we're using in our party. In this case, it's 3, so that Vita goes up to 21 and 20 on the Restless Spirit. Now we have to set up our initiative track, and we're going to start out by drawing a foe tactic and an initiative card. We'll start with the initiative card, and that one is Accurate Aim. We're going to roll a d10 and place it on that location. get a D10 out. And here's the roll. It's a 3. So we're going to place the C1 token on 3 and the C1 token here, and we're going to be using it for 3 characters. So we're going to gain +8 and +2 ammo if we can have a character on that initiative on the board. Next, we're going to draw our foe card, Foe Tactics. And this one is Jailer. Take a random militia companion from your foes as a hostage. If a hit would reduce you to less than 5 vita, but does not kill you, the companion is killed instead of you being hit. If the hit kills you, the companion is returned. And this would be for a midnight or nightmare level as above, but you'd start with +5 vita. And the reward is the companion becomes trained if it survives. All right, so we're going to have to make a roll for that, see where that ends up on the track. That's 8. So we'll place the F1 token on 8 and an F1 token next to that Jailer. All right. Now we're going to make a D10 roll for each of our characters, and we're going to be using their ghost figures to mark them on the initiative board. We'll start out with the Woodsman. And then we have to check to see if they have any bonuses for initiative. And it does not look like there is. All right, so we'll make the roll for the Woodsman. 1. Okay, he's going to start at 1. That's not so good. The lower you activate from highest initiative to lowest. Okay, next up is the Magus. We'll see if he has any bonuses to initiative. Does not appear so. Okay, here is his roll. He rolls a 9. Okay, so he's going to be way at the top here. And finally, it is the Witch Hunter. We'll see if he has any bonuses to initiative. Does not look like it. No. Okay, here is the roll. He rolls a 4, so he's at 4. All right, now we're going to roll for each of the foes that we have. And we'll begin with the yellow foe, which is our Restless Spirit. We'll see where he starts. He starts at 3. Okay, so we'll place him there. Then it's the black foe, which is the left-hand sided flesh-eating ghoul. He's a 6. And finally, the orange foe, which is the right-hand side flesh-eating ghoul. He's a 1. Okay, when we're tied, the foe will have the advantage. So that'll be our initiative for the starting combat. Now, how this works is if a foe is within 1 space of the foe card, he can automatically move up or down to get to that spot. If it's a character, we have to spend PP, power points, and we can use a power point to move up or down the scale 1 point to try to get to our accurate aim in this case for our initiative bonus. So for the combat, we're going to begin with our highest initiative, and that's the Magus. All right, we've set up our adventure display. We have all of the creatures on the board, including our characters, and all of the tokens that are indicated on that map sheet to set up. And we're ready to begin, and we will start with the top player on the initiative board, and that is the Magus. He has an initiative of 9. Now we're going to be using the advanced encounter rules, and therefore we have to declare if our characters will be using attack or defense status at the start of each round. And I'm going to have all of our characters use the attack mode for the time being, and I will only change that when I say I'm going to do that. So all of them will be on the attack mode. Now you do get benefits on the defense mode. An example is the guard command. characters that choose to defend using the skirmish token enter a guard stance. Once per round, if there are no foes adjacent to them, they strike back at an enemy that enters an adjacent space and attacks. After being attacked, hit, or miss, the character can attack back. Remember that they receive a -10 might because they are defending. So it's a kind of a valuable tactic that could come in handy if any of our characters get low on vita. So we're going to begin with the Magus. Now another thing that we can do at the start of each round is we can spend PP. We can spend power points to move up or down on the initiative board to try to get to our initiative bonuses that are available. So let's take a look at that first. Now in this case, the Witch Hunter would probably be very well served to try to move to Initiative 3 to take advantage of that C1 token. With 3 characters, we get +8 might and +2 to ammo. Our Witch Hunter is carrying the crossbow, and he has 3 ammunition, so that would move him up to 5 ammo for this fight round, or for this fight. So I think we will do that. I'm going to have the Witch Hunter spend 1 power point, and we're going to move him to Initiative 3, where he can gain that benefit. So right now he has 5 ammo for this combat, and he's reduced to 4 power points. So we'll reference our encounters sheet, characters and ghosts, and step 1 is move, and we can move up to our current stride mode. In this case, the Magus is first up, and his stride is 4, so he's got basically 4 movement points. I think we're going to have him move and try to attack that flesh-eating ghoul, the orange one. So he's going to move 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next up, he can act, and there are several things that he can do by acting. First one is to attack a foe with an equipped weapon, and that would end his movement. Currently, the Magus has a falcata in his hands. That's going to be a melee weapon, single-handed weapon, and it will do 1d4 damage. Now, it has a special keyword on there called Sacred, and this is the card. And it says Sacred. Now, we can look that up in the back of the rule book. There is a glossary back there, and that tells us what those special keywords will do for us. The Sacred ability says, roll attack dice twice versus demonic or undead creatures, and take the higher result and add +1 damage. Okay. Now, consulting the Affliction and Creatures Types chart in the Encounters section, we find out that the flesh-eating ghoul is an undead. Long since dead, these vile creatures have been brought back to some semblance of life, though they are usually just puppets in some dark force, represented by gnashing vile teeth. That's the symbol. And so, with that falcata, we can use the Sacred ability, which will allow us to roll our attack dice twice and take the higher result. That's great. So, to launch an attack, we're going to check the defense level of the flesh-eating ghoul. I'll bring that up on the screen, and we find out that it has a defense of 45. So what we're going to do is roll a D100 set along with the damage die that we would have. In this case, it's a D4. We'll roll all of those together and we'll see what we get. Now, we're able to roll our attack dice twice, which is great. Now, the Magus, we'll check him. He has a might of 4. So he'll be able to add 4 to this D100 result. Now, we're trying to get a total of 45 or better. And here is the result. Okay, it's unbelievable. We have rolled a 0, 0 and a 0. That is 100. Our damage die is 1. I'm not going to re-roll that because we have, that should be a 0. A 100 is a special result. Let's look that up. That's called Devastating Strike or Fault. If a character's attack roll results in a natural 100, they have performed a devastating strike. This means they gain an extra move and act, or they may recover all of their power points. However, if a creature rolls a natural 1, they experience a fault, which exhausts the weapon. This weapon is considered broken and unusable until repaired by a tinkerer in the town. Now the Magus has a special ability, and that is called Corrosionist. And it says add a corrosion token to your attack before making the attack roll. Well, I would have done that, so I'm going to take the liberty of doing so. And we're going to add this corrosion token to that target. We set it on 4, and the corrosion is going to do a 1 vita damage at the start of each round against that creature. So we're going to place that corrosion token near the orange flesh-eating ghoul's vita control. Now that costs us, we can use it once per round, and that's an active ability. So we have to pay 1 power point in order to do that. So we're going to reduce the Magus's power points from 6 down to 5. And then he's going to gain that corrosion on that creature. Now the damage we're going to do, we get +1 because of that special ability from the Falkata. That's sacred. So we get +1 damage there. We have 1 damage from our damage roll using the Falkata. And the Magus also has a damage bonus of +1. So we've done 3 damage to that creature. So he's currently at 21. We're going to reduce that by 3. That'll move him to 18. So we'll set the 20-sided die to 18, if I can find it. And where is it? There it is. Okay, so he's at 18 right now, plus he has the corrosion on him. And I almost forgot, there's a lot of things to calculate in this game. The Magus also has that Brave ability. That's going to give him +1 to damage, so an additional damage is going to be taken off of that flesh-eating ghoul. That's going to move him down to 17. So we will move him to 17. Now the next step in the encounter would be interact. A character may interact with one feature on the map, such as a search token or a skill die check. Well, we don't have any next to him, so he can't do that. He could use consumable items. Living characters may use any number of consumable items that they have in their possession, such as a bandage. Now the Magus has a consumable item that he can use, and that's this flask here. And if we turn that over, it gives us what it is. It's vitriol thrown for 1d6 damage. And then we can push the character 2 spaces. So I think we'll use that. Now what I don't know is whether or not this thrown means we have to make another attack roll against that creature, or is it automatic? I can't find the answer to that, so I'm going to assume that since this is a consumable, that he just splashes it on him and it's automatic. So we're going to roll 1d6 and find out the damage that we're going to be able to inflict on him. We'll get a d6. And the roll is a 3, so we've done 3 extra damage to him. That's going to move him down to 14. So we'll set his level at 14. And then we can push him 2 spaces. So that's what we'll do. We're going to push him 1 and 2. All right. And then that consumable item is consumed. That goes back to the supply. Next step for the Magus would be to use an ability or ghost power. At this point, he's not going to do that. And then finally, step 7, equip or trade at the end of his turn. A living character may trade items with an adjacent character and adjust which items are held in their hands. This can only be performed at the very end of the turn after all other actions. All right. Well, he's going to keep the Falkata in his hands for right now, and I believe that is going to end his turn. Next up in the round now is we move down on the initiative track to 6, and that's the black foe, and that is going to be this flesh-eating ghoul here on the left-hand side of the display. All right, he's going to begin with movement, and the flesh-eating ghoul has a stride of 5, and he's going to move towards the nearest character that he can reach. So he's going to move 1, 2, 3, and 4. And he'll launch an attack against the woodsman. And actually, that's not true. We have to do a targeting die. In melee foes, if adjacent to more than one character, use a targeting die to determine its target. So that's what we'll do. So in this case, we'll go odd and even, and we'll make a d6 roll for targeting. It is odd, so he will attack the woodsman. Our woodsman has a defense of 36. Now the flesh-eating ghoul has, during a dusk mission, has a +3 to his might. So that means that he's going to be adding 3 to this result on his D100 attack roll. All right, here is the roll against the woodsman. And he has rolled an 005, so that is a miss. He has missed the woodsman. So that's going to end his turn. We'll move on to the next person in line on the initiative track, and that is initiative 3. And that's the yellow foe and the witch hunter. Now the witch hunter is not in darkness, so he will end up being first in line on the initiative. When they're tied, you go through a tiebreaker sequence, and in this case the witch hunter is not in darkness. He will move first. So our witch hunter is activated. Witch hunter has a stride of 4, and he also received that holy water, which is interesting. That has 4 uses, and that's a thrown item. All right, well, we're going to have him move, I think, and I'll have him move ahead 1, and we'll try to double up on attacking this flesh-eating ghoul. So that is his move. He's going to launch an attack now, and that's going to end his movement. And now we'll see what he's going to do. Now he has that crossbow, and that crossbow has focus 1. So let's find out about what that's about. And the focus says gain plus that number of might with this weapon if you attack the same foe as in the previous round. Okay, so he won't qualify for that. This weapon is going to do 1d4 plus 1, and that's a two-handed ranged weapon. So I think with that being the case, maybe I will do a little bit different on the movement here. Now we've got walls in here that we can't shoot through. So I think what I'll do is, instead of being right next to him, I'm going to move 1, 2. We'll do it that way, keep a little bit of separation, maybe 3. We'll move there, and then that'll put him in range to target both of those creatures by ranged attack. And now, since we've got this one damaged, maybe I should target that one instead. That one is down to 14 vita. Well, I think we will do that. So he's going to use his crossbow, and he has 5 loads of ammo now because of that special accurate aim ability. Now he's going to gain +8 to might from that accurate aim card that he gains. And he's also going to gain +4 might from his own internal ability. Now this flesh-eating ghoul has a defense of 45. So we're going to launch the attack. And we'll add up our totals. Here's the roll. And we rolled a 57, and that is more than enough with the bonuses to hit that flesh-eating ghoul. So that's going to use up 1 of our ammo, moving us down to 4 ammo now. And he's going to do a total of 1d4 plus 1 plus 4, plus 2 for his damage bonus. So we'll get a d4 out and see how much damage we can do to this flesh-eating ghoul. Here's the roll. The roll is a 4. So we've done 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. So we've done 7 damage to him. Now he also has this card, Witch Hunter. Gain plus 5 might with ranged weapons during the first round of combat, usable during a skirmish. Now that's a passive ability, so I should have been able to add an additional 5 onto our might roll. So we'll inflict 7 damage on this flesh-eating ghoul. That's going to move him down to 7. And that's where he's at now. All right, next up then would be to interact with anything adjacent to him. And we can use consumables. Now he does have that holy water, and that says it's a ranged attack, but it doesn't specify the range on it. So, and it has 4 uses, and that would be thrown for 1d4 damage. I think we'll save that for now, and then we would move on to our abilities and ghost powers. Living characters can use any of their abilities during this phase. Some abilities allow you to use them outside of your turn. Ghosts cannot use abilities but can use ghost points. All right. Well, then finally it would be the equip phase, and I think we'll just leave him with his crossbow. That'll be just fine. And once again, I forgot, the Witch Hunter has the Brave ability that gives him plus 1 to damage, so we would have done an extra damage to that flesh-eating ghoul. That's going to move him down to 6 Vita now. 6 Vita remaining. And we'll mark him accordingly. Those are at the top of the board. And now the yellow foe is going to activate. And the yellow foe is this restless spirit. He's on top of the, hovering over the sarcophagus. Now he is a ranged attack creature. And he'll have to move to get into position to be able to see any of these characters to target them. Now it says for ranged foes, it will not move unless a character is adjacent to them. It moves away from the characters up to their stride prior to attacking with the following behaviors. And then it lists what those would be. If all characters are out of sight, ranged attackers will move up to their stride towards the characters until they have a line of sight to as many as possible. So that's what he's going to do. And let's see where that is going to be. I guess it would be probably moving through over to here, and that would give him 2 characters in range. The Restless Spirit has a stride of 5, so that's no problem. He's going to move 1 and 2, and then he will target one of those 2, and we'll do a targeting die, I guess. We'll make a targeting roll and see who he's going to target, odd or even. And that is an odd, so he will be targeting the Witch Hunter. Witch Hunter has a defense of 38. And the Restless Spirit has a special power. Characters suffer minus 10 defense unless they pass a Faith 5 at the start of the encounter. The Restless Spirit is ethereal. Well, we didn't make that roll yet, so I guess we should make the Faith 5 roll for each character. That's part of its special power, so let's do that. We'll begin with the Woodsman. He has a Faith bonus of +1. So we'll see if he can pass this. He did not. Next up would be the Magus. He has a Faith bonus of +2. And he passed it. He's got a 4 + 2 is 6, so he's okay. And then finally the Witch Hunter. He has a Faith bonus of +1. 4 + 1 is 5, so everybody has passed except the Woodsman. That ethereal ability that it has is a positive status. You are balanced between this world and the next, granting you absorption 2 versus corporeal, non-ethereal foes and snares. Full damage to ethereal foes. Ignore stride penalties. All right. That absorption is ignore the number of damage from an attack. Does not ignore snare damage unless specifically stated. So in this case, that absorption 2 ability that it has is going to soak up basically 2 hits, 2 points of damage. And the woodsman is going to suffer a -10 defense because he did not pass that faith test. So the restless spirit will make his ranged attack against the witch hunter. Here is the roll. He rolled a 29. That's a miss. He has missed. That's great. So we're going to move our initiative marker down to 1, and now it's going to be the orange foe and the woodsman. In this case, the woodsman will have priority because he's not in darkness. Woodsman is going to move, and I'll have him move over to here. And then he's going to launch an attack on that flesh-eating ghoul, and that is the black flesh-eating ghoul. He'll be using his woodsman's axe. And this is a double-handed weapon, and that gives us the ability to roll the attack dice twice, I believe. We'll see if that's true. No, that will allow him to roll the damage die twice and take the larger of the 2. Now it also has this special ability called Execute. And that says, immediately kill non-affliction creatures or cause double damage to afflictions when performing a devastating strike. So if he was to get a devastating strike, he can automatically kill a non-affliction. That would be awesome, but it's a 1 in 100 chance of that. All right, the woodsman will launch his attack. Now he's going to get a 1d4 plus 1 with this, and he'll be able to roll the damage die twice. He has a might of +4. So we'll be adding 4 to this roll. He rolls a 95. That is a 99, and that's plenty to hit this thing. Now we'll get to roll our damage die twice and take the larger of the 2 rolls. So I'll just roll 2 4-sided dice, and we'll see which one will be the largest of the 2. Okay, here is the roll. Okay, we've got a 4. So we're going to use the 4. That'll be 4 damage plus 1. That's 5. And he has his listed damage bonus of +2. So that is a total of 7 damage to the black flesh-eating ghoul. So that's going to move him down from 21 to 14. He's at 14. All right. Now the woodsman has some special abilities. He has the ability to place a tracking token on a nature or mortal foe. It wouldn't work in this case. And he does have traps where he can set snares. So we could have set a snare in his starting space when we moved. So I think for right now, though, we will just leave it as it is. We've done some damage to those creatures, which is great. And now that is going to bring the first round to a close, but now the orange foe has to activate, and that's this damaged flesh-eating ghoul. We still have to do that. So he is a melee creature, and we will follow the rules for moving the melee creature. He is going to, he moves to avoid hazardous terrain features such as flames as long as he can reach a target. And he will move towards the closest characters. If multiple characters are equidistant, he'll use a targeting die. So in this case, 1, 2 would put him into range of both. So that's what he'll do. He's going to move 2 spaces ahead, and then we'll find out which one of those he's going to target. And we'll roll a d6, and it'll be once again odd and even. It's odd. He's going to go after the witch hunter. Okay. Now, there's a lot of moving parts in this game, so in your games you would very likely miss some like additions to dice rolls or things like that. So, and I'm expecting that to happen to myself. There's lots of moving parts here where you're adding points to your melee roll and your might and different things. So those are all possible things that could happen, and you just try to handle the situation as best as possible, and if corrections are available, you make them when possible. All right, so he's targeting the Witch Hunter. The Witch Hunter has a defense of 38. So we'll see what this roll is going to be for the flesh-eating ghoul. And he rolled a 1, 0, 0, and 1, and that is a fault. The fault is listed as occurs if the attack is a natural 1. They cannot attack their next turn, although they can still move. If they have remaining attacks during the current round, they may still use them. So in this case, we're going to turn his token sideways to let us know he can still move, but he can't attack. That's interesting. And that's going to complete this first round of combat. We'll reset our initiative marker up to 9, and that means that the Magus is going to activate in the next round. All right, I've readjusted the camera so we can get the Vita trackers into the frame. We've got our Restless Spirit at 20. The black foe is at 14. And the orange foe is at 6, and he also has a corrosion token on him. Now this is starting a new round, so we're going to move the corrosion marker down to 3, and then he's going to drop down 1 Vita. He's from 6, he will drop down to 5 now. And as this is the start of a new round, we can declare if our characters are going to be using the attack or defense mode, and I think we'll keep them all into the attack mode. We're doing pretty good so far. Okay, we'll begin with the Magus, and he'll make his movement. He has a stride of 4. So I think we'll try to move him around the back of that creature. 1, 2. We'll put him there. And then he's going to launch an attack on that orange flesh-eating ghoul. He has a might value of +4. And that flesh-eating ghoul has a defense of 45. So we'll make the roll and see what happens. He rolled an 89, so that's a definite hit on that creature. His Falcata is going to do a D4 damage, and that is a sacred item. We can roll the damage die twice, and that's what we'll do. So we'll roll 2 damage dice and take the higher of the 2. In this case, we have a 4. That is awesome. He's going to gain +1 for the fact that he is brave, moving the damage up to 5, and that's enough to kill it. That creature only had 5 Vita left, so it has been killed. That is awesome. So we're going to keep that defeated flesh-eating ghoul that we just killed. We'll keep him off to the side, and then we're going to be able to account for lore and coins possibly at the end of the mission. Well, speaking of mistakes, I just made one. When we killed that flesh-eating ghoul, I shouldn't have had 2 rolls on damage. I should have had 2 rolls on the 2-hit roll, on the might roll. So I'm just going to leave it as though we rolled the 4, but I should have only had 1 damage roll, and we would have added +1 to that. So, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts in this game, and it takes a while to get into that procedural rhythm that you need to have to play this with all of the rules, intact. All right, that's going to bring the Magus's turn to a close. We'll move on now down to initiative 6, and that is the black foe. Now the orange foe is removed, so we can get rid of his markers. It won't interfere anymore. But the black foe now is going to activate. He's already in combat position with the woodsman, so he won't move. He's going to launch an attack on the old woodsman. Okay, the woodsman has a defense value of 36. Okay, and we'll check the special powers of the flesh-eating ghoul, and that is if we land a hit and the power die is 1, he will be infected. Okay, so here is the roll. Now he gets +3 to his might because this is a dusk mission, so we'll add 3 to this roll. He rolled a 48, that's plenty, and he has hit the woodsman, and he has done damage, and we use the singles die to tell what his special result is. And in this case, it is death rattle. It makes a sound that causes the group to freeze with fear. All adjacent living characters lose 2d4 vita and must pass a nerve 4 or lose their next turn. Wow. Okay, so the adjacent is just going to be the woodsman. He's going to lose a total of 2d4 vita. So we'll get 2d4 dice out. And see how much damage he takes. He's going to take a total of 4, and 1 is 5. So he's going to lose 5 vita. That will move him down from 22 down to 17. Okay, so he's at 17 vita. Now he has to pass a nerve 4 test, or he'll lose his next turn. Let's see if he gains any bonuses to nerve. I don't think so. And nerve, no, he does not. So he's going to have to make this roll on his own. Now, he didn't have the brave ability. He was the one of the two that did not pass that, so he won't gain any to nerve. So we'll have to make the roll straight up. He needs a 5 or better. I'm sorry, 4 or better. He rolled a 3. He failed it, so he's going to lose his next turn. All right, we're just going to flip him face down, and then we'll know he will not activate during this round. Okay, that will be the end of the Black Foe's turn. We'll move on now to Initiative 3, and that is the Witch Hunter. All right, the Witch Hunter is going to move, and I'm going to have him move back. He'll move back 2 spaces, and then he's going to launch an attack with his crossbow. He's going to gain +5 might with ranged weapons because he has this in the scope ability. That's a passive ability, so he gets that all the time during the first round of combat. Well, I guess he doesn't. Okay, so he does not get that. He does have the tracker ability, and that we can activate that. It says you have superior skill at routing your enemies. Reroll a missed ranged attack or recover 1 ammo. And we can use that once per round, and that costs us 1 PP. So if we need to, we will use that. So he's going to fire his crossbow at the flesh-eating ghoul, and we'll see if he can hit him. Okay, he needs to get a 45. Okay, here is the roll. He has a might advantage of +4. We can add 4 to the roll. And he rolled an 89. That's plenty. So we're going to reduce his ammunition down to 3. And he's going to do a total of 1d4 plus 1 is for the crossbow. And then he's also going to gain a damage bonus of +2. Here's the roll. And he rolled a 3. So he's got 3 plus 1 for the crossbow, that's 4, and +2 for his damage bonus, that's 6. So the Black Foe will be reduced by 6, and he's down to 8. And we've marked him with 8 vita. I think that's all that the Witch Hunter is going to do. We'll move on to the Yellow Foe, and that is the Restless Spirit. He is currently in line of sight of 2 characters, so we're going to make a targeting roll for him. And we'll have it as odd and even. It is an odd roll. He'll be targeting the Magus. Now the Woodsman was the only character that did not pass that Faith 5 test at the start of the encounter. So these characters will not be subject to that -10 defense. So he's targeting the Magus, and that has a defense of 36. We'll make the roll and see what happens. And he rolled an 11. He missed. That is awesome. One thing I forgot is the Witch Hunter has that special C1 ability, which is +8 to might and +2 ammo. So he should have gotten an additional 8 might on that roll. We didn't need it though. All right, then we will move to Initiative 1, and that will activate the Woodsman. All he can do is stand up. He was stunned from that flesh-eating ghoul. It was a death rattle. All right, the Woodsman is the only character, or that is the lowest Vita character we have. He has 17. The Magus has 19. The Witch Hunter has 21. So we could move the Woodsman into a defensive stance. That might help him a little bit. And that might be appropriate. So I don't know. We're still not in critical stage, so I think we'll leave them all at attack. We'll do that. And then we'll begin a new round with our Magus at initiative 9. Now, one thing I'm going to do when we actually begin the actual play of the game in the real campaign is I'm going to make sure that I've got a cheat sheet for all of these weapons that have these special keywords like sacred or focus or execute. And I'll make sure that I've got those printed out on a separate sheet, so I don't have to keep looking those up in the book. That was one mistake that I didn't do in preparing for this video. But I'm going to make sure that we have that when we actually start the campaign. Now the Magus has that Falcata with the sacred ability, and that won't work against the Restless Spirit. He is a spirit. He would need to either be demonic or an undead. So we can still use it, we just won't get the benefit from it. So I think what he will do is he will move, and we'll have him move 1, 2, 3. He'll move behind the spirit, and he's going to launch an attack against the Restless Spirit with his Falcata. Now the problem is this Restless Spirit is ethereal, so it has that special ability where it can absorb 2 points of damage. And we're not going to get many hits on this thing, it appears. So we're going to need to get some type of weapon against this. And the Witch Hunter's Holy Water would probably work quite well. Now the Magus does have that corrosionist ability, but that doesn't work against ghosts, so we won't be able to use that on him. So we'll launch an attack with the Falcata, I guess. This creature has a defense of 43. And he's going to be gaining +4 to his might. And that's what we get. Here's the roll. And he's got 37. +4 is 41. That's just short of being able to strike the Restless Spirit, so he missed. And that's going to bring his turn to a close. We'll move the initiative marker down to 6, and the black foe is going to activate, and that's going to be this flesh-eating ghoul. He's in combat range with the Woodsman. He won't move, and he'll launch an attack there. The Woodsman has a defense value of 36. Okay, here is the roll. And this creature has a 38, so he has hit him. And he's going to do, the result of 8 is going to be a death rattle again. He's going to take 2d4 Vita loss, and he'll have to pass that Nerve 4 test or lose his next round. So 2d4 Vita loss. Okay, we'll make the roll. It's pretty bad. And he's got a 2 and a 1, so he's lost a total of 3 Vita. That'll move the Woodsman down to 14. So he's at 14 Vita. I actually wish we would have put him on defense. That would have gotten him an extra 10 on his defensive value, but we didn't do it. Now he has to pass that nerve test, and it's a Nerve 4. Let's see if he can pass this. I hope he can. He's got a 6, so he's good. All right. That's going to complete the Black Foe's activation. We'll move on to Initiative 3, and that's the Witch Hunter. All right. So let's see what he's going to do. The Witch Hunter has a stride of 4. I'm going to make a move for him. 1, 2, 3, 4. He'll be in back of the sarcophagus, and that will put a line of sight into... No, it does not. He's blocked out. Well, I'm going to have him circle around the back, I think. In the meantime, he will target the restless spirit with his crossbow. So we'll have him make his attack roll with the crossbow. We'll move his ammunition down to 2. And here's the roll. We need to get a 43 or greater. He's going to gain +4 for his regular might. Here's the roll. And we rolled a 10. That's not enough. Well, he's going to use his holy water. He's got 4 charges in that. And that says damage, 4 uses thrown for 1d4 damage. So we're going to reduce that holy water down to 3 uses. And he's going to get a 1d4 on that creature at least. That's one thing I don't know, is if we have to make an attack roll when we're using these consumables. I don't know if it's an automatic or not. And I'll have to try to research that for our first campaign playthrough. So we're going to do a 1d4 damage to this creature. Now this thing has that ability, Absorb 2, so I don't know how good that's going to be. We'll have to see. Here's the roll. We rolled a 1. So that means it's not going to take any damage, I think. I'm going to check that out. Well, it reads, ignore that number of damage from an attack. Now we're using a consumable. Now I don't know if that's considered to be an attack or not. Or is this something that wouldn't apply to? Now this is holy water, so you would think that that would probably do well against a ghost, but, well, I think we'll play it as though that's not considered an attack. So that restless spirit is going to take a point of damage. That'll move him down to 19. I don't know if that's correct or not, but I'll try to resolve these things before our first campaign playthrough. All right, that's going to end the witch hunter's turn, and now the restless spirit is going to activate. That's our yellow foe. Now he's a ranged creature, so he is going to move away as far as possible from the characters while keeping as many in sight as possible. So I think that would mean he would probably want to move 1, 2. Well, he's got to keep him in range. I guess there. He'd be able to see all 3. And then we'll do a targeting roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's going to be targeting the woodsman. Okay. So we'll make the attack roll for the restless spirit. Now the woodsman did not pass that faith test at the beginning of the encounter. He's going to suffer a -10 defense. So his defense now is going to be at 26. It's not good. Here's the roll. And they rolled a 91, so he's hit. And that creature has a power die of 1. And that says, torment. Feeling horrible anguish, you lose 1d4 vita and cannot use abilities until you pass a nerve 5 during your next turn. Okay, so he's going to lose 1d4 vita. And in this case, it's 4, unfortunately. So that's going to move him down to 10. Oh, boy. All right, so he is at 10. All right. And he won't be able to use any abilities until the next round. Okay, we'll move on now on the initiative tracker, and that is the woodsman himself. He will activate. And I think the woodsman is going to remain where he is, and he's going to start a chopping with his woodsman's axe. And that has that execute ability. It does 1d4 + 1 damage, and it's a two-handed weapon. A two-handed weapon allows us 2 rolls on our might roll against the on the attack. So we'll make the first roll. We've got an 85. That's plenty. So we have definitely hit the flesh-eating ghoul. He is going to do a total of 1d4 + 1 for the weapon, and he has a damage bonus of +2. So let's see what we get here. Here's the roll. And we rolled a 1. So we've got 1 + 1 is 2, +2 is 4. So that will move the vita on that creature down to 4 from 8 down to 4. We're getting close. That restless spirit's going to be tough. Okay. I think the woodsman is going to use a token, and he's going to use this set of bandages, and we will, it says we can recover 4 vita, so we will move him back up to 14 vita. I think that would be a smart play at this point. So he'll use his bandages, and then those are out of play. That's the end of the round, so we will reset our initiative marker up to 9, and that means that the Magus is going to activate. And I think the Magus is going to move, and he'll try to target that restless spirit, 1 and 2. He'll move adjacent to him, and he's going to use his Falcata. There's not much of a choice. I don't have anything that would be powerful enough to really try to get rid of this thing, but we'll try it. So we have to get a total of 43 or better. We're going to be adding 4 for the Magus's might. Here's his attack roll. He rolled a 73, so we've got the hit. Now he's going to gain +1 damage because of his brave. He's also going to gain a D4 for the Falcata, and he gets +1 for his attached damage bonus. So let's see what we can get on this thing. Now that has that absorption deal again. Here's the roll. We rolled a 1. It's not too good. So we've got 1, +1 is 2, +1 is 3 for his damage bonus, -2 for the absorption, so the restless spirit's going to take 1 only, and that's going to move that down to an 18. It's not so good. All right, that will finish the Magus's turn. We'll advance the initiative tracker up to 6, and the black foe is going to activate. He is in combat position with the woodsman, so he'll launch his attack against the woodsman. Woodsman has a defensive value of 36. And here's the roll. He rolled a 52. He's hit him. The 2 means it is a fever bite. Flesh is torn from your body. Lose 1d6 vita and become sickened 5. All right, so a d6 value. He's going to lose a total of 3 vita. That'll move him down to 11. It's not too good. So he is currently at 11 vita. And then we got to find out what sickened 5 is. Okay, the sickness is listed as the following. Sickened, a negative status. A foul malaise has stricken you, reducing your effectiveness in combat. In an encounter, roll damage dice twice and take the worst result. Resist with ecology skill bonus. Well, our woodsman has an ecology of +2, so we'll see if we can pass this. And then he will not be sickened. Okay, here's the roll. +2. He rolls a 1. That's 3, so he is sickened. Oh boy. So he's going to gain this sickened token, and that says roll damage twice and take the worst result. Okay, so we'll place that on his card as a reminder. And I'll tell you this, if you're playing this solitaire, you must really have total concentration. There are so many moving parts in this. I mean, this game is fun. I'm really enjoying this. But this makes Shadows of Brimstone look like child's play. I mean, there are so many modifiers in this. It's off the map. So, all right, so we will, that finishes up the black foe's attack. And we'll move on now to initiative 3, and that's the Witch Hunter. He's going to close on that restless spirit, I think. So we're going to try to get him into, he has this holy water. And that says that it's thrown for 1d4 damage. Now, I don't know if you have to be, there's no range on this. I can't believe he could throw that far. So I'm guessing you got to be, it's an automatic attack, but I think you've got to be adjacent to use it. So I think that's what he'll do. He'll move 1, 2, and 3. And then he has 3 loads left on that holy water. So we'll start out with his attack using his crossbow. He's down to 1 now. 1 ammo left. It has focus 1. I'm going to see what that is. And he gains +1 to might if he's attacking the same character 2 turns in a row. So he would gain that. So we'll make the attack roll against the Restless Spirit. And we need to get a 43 now. We're going to be gaining a +4 to might, +1 for that focus 1 that he has with the crossbow. And I think that's it. So we'll make the roll. We rolled a 40. And we're gaining 4, so that's 44. And that's enough to hit the Restless Spirit. So we've hit him. This thing is going to do a total of 1d4 plus 1 damage, and then he has that absorption. The Witch Hunter also has a damage bonus of +2, so that'll help. Here's the roll for damage. We rolled a 4. That is good. So we have 4 plus 1 for the weapon. That's 5. +2 for the damage bonus. That's 7. Minus 2 for the absorption is 5. So this creature is going to take 5 damage, and I'll move him down to 13. So we're making some progress there. Now he's going to use this holy water. That'll move that down to 2. And that appears to be an automatic hit for 1d4 damage. Here's the roll. We rolled a 1, so we've got 1 extra there. And I don't believe the absorption counts for that. At least that's how I'm interpreting this. So we're down to 12. Okay, that is going to complete the Witch Hunter. Now the yellow foe is going to activate. We'll move this back to the Witch Hunter. And the yellow foe is a ranged creature, so he's going to try to move as far away as possible, keeping as many people in range as possible. So I guess he would move 1, 2, and 3 into the corner. That'll keep all 3 in range, and we'll do a targeting roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's going to be the Witch Hunter will be targeted. Okay, he will roll his attack dice now on the Witch Hunter. Witch Hunter has a defense of 38. Okay, here's the roll. Rolled a 97, so that is definitely a hit on the Witch Hunter. The power roll is a 7, and that is Psychic Assault. The Restless Spirit sends out a wave of psychic energy. Lose 1d6 Vita and a power point. All right, so let's get a d6 out here and see how much he loses. He loses 5, so he goes down from 21 down to 16. And he's also going to lose a power point. He's down to 3. All right, then we'll move on now to the Woodsman. And he'll activate, and he's going to, I guess, use his Woodsman's axe and attempt to finish off this flesh-eating ghoul. So he'll remain where he is, and he'll use his Woodsman's axe. He's going to gain a +4 might, but he has that sicken, so he's going to do damage. He'll be rolling the damage die twice, and he'll have to take the lower of the 2. So here is the attack roll on the flesh-eating ghoul. We need a 45 or better. We rolled a 75. We've got him. Okay, so that is a successful hit. And we'll get a d4 +1 for his axe. And we got to roll this twice and take the lower of the 2. So here's 2d4. The lower is, they're both 3s, so it's a 3 will be the attack die. We get +1 for the weapon, and he gets +2 for his regular damage. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's enough to take out the flesh-eating ghoul. He had 4 remaining. That's great. So he's gone. Now we've just got to deal with that Restless Spirit. And so we're going to start another round, and I think the Woodsman is going to shift into a defensive role because he has that susceptibility -10 against that Restless Spirit. So we're going to give him he's going to defend. That'll be -10 to might, but plus 10 to defense. So that'll help to counteract that a little bit. We'll be starting a new round, activating the Magus, and he's going to move and attack. And he'll move 1 and 2. He'll move there, and he's going to use his Falcata. So he'll make the attack. We're looking for a 43 or better. He has a might of 4 plus 4. Here's the roll. He rolled a 39. Plus 4 is 43. And that's just enough to hit that restless spirit. I mean, right on. So we'll see what kind of damage we can do to him now. We'll be gaining a D4 for the Falcata and plus 1 for his normal damage bonus, but then we have a minus 2 for his absorption. So here we go. We rolled a 1. What else would it be? So no damage will be inflicted on that restless spirit. That is unfortunate. So we'll remove the black full from the initiative board, and then we'll move on now to the Witch Hunter. Witch Hunter will activate. He's going to move 1, 2, and 3. All right. He's going to launch an attack with his crossbow. And that is the last piece of ammunition he has for the crossbow. And we'll make the attack and see what happens. He does have a few loads left of holy water, though. Here's the roll. He rolled a 15. That is a miss. That's unfortunate. Now, he does have this tracker ability, and that says that you have superior skill at routing your enemies. Reroll a missed ranged attack or recover 1 ammo, usable during a skirmish. It'll cost him 1 power point to do that, and I think he will use that. So we'll move his power points down to 2. And he can either re-roll the attack or gain another ammo. I guess we'll try to re-roll the attack. Okay, here is the roll. And he rolled a 12. Okay, so that's a miss. We got no ammo left now for his crossbow, unfortunately. So he's going to have to be using his fists, but he's going to use the holy water. He'll splash the holy water on them. Down to 1, and we get a D4 damage against this thing. Okay, here's the roll. Rolled a 2, so we've got 2 damage against it. That'll move it down to 10. Something. And now the restless spirit is going to activate. He's a ranged type of creature, so he's going to try to move away if he can. He can't move through an enemy model, so he'll have to go around. 1, 2, 3. And this creature has a stride of 5. 4 and 5. I guess he'll go there. That'll put him in range of all 3. I'll make a targeting roll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 2. So he's going to be targeting the woodsman. Now the woodsman is at a minus 10 defense because he failed that roll at the beginning. He gets plus 10 defense, so that'll be a wash. And here's the attack roll for the restless spirit against the woodsman. A 41, and that's going to be enough. His defense is 36, so he has hit them. A 1 was the power roll. And it says here that it's torment. Feeling horrible anguish, you lose 1d4 vita and cannot use abilities until you pass a nerve 5 during the next turn. So a 1d4 vita. Okay, here's the roll. He loses 2. So that's going to move the woodsman down to 9. 9 vita remaining. Okay. And then we're going to have to make that nerve roll at the start of the next turn. I might have forgotten that last time. Okay, so that'll finish up the restless spirit. We'll move on to the woodsman himself. And he has to make that nerve roll. So we'll make the nerve roll for him. That is a nerve 5. Okay, here is the roll. He rolled a 6, so he's good. All right, he's going to move and attack. And he is on the defensive side, though. 1, 2, 3. So he's going to be at minus 10 might. Okay, so minus 10. Here's his roll to subtract 10. He rolled a 20, that's a miss. Okay, so we have finished the round. And I think we're going to move the woodsman back to his attack side. We'll take a chance. We've got to try to kill this thing. And we'll start a new round beginning with the Magus. All right, the Magus is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. He'll get in back of that creature. And he'll launch his attack. Okay, he's going to be using his Falcata. Here's his attack roll. And he rolled a 70. He's hit him. And he'll be doing a D4 plus 1 for his normal damage roll, and then a minus 2 for the absorption. Rolled a 2. So we've got 2, 3, minus 2 is 1, and that'll be 1 point of damage, moving the Restless Spirit down to 9. Okay, so he's at 9. And that's going to finish up the Magus's turn. We will move on now to Initiative 3, and that's the Witch Hunter. The Witch Hunter will move into position. He'll move here. I'll try to box him in. And he cannot use his crossbow anymore. He does not have any ammunition left. So he will have to make an attack with his fists, and he just gets his damage bonus of 2. So that's not too good. All right, here we go. Here's his roll. He rolled a 61. He's hit him. So, but all he gets with his fists is 2, and then the absorption of the creature is 2, so it's 0. He'll have to use his last use of the holy water. So that'll be gone, and we do a D4 damage to this thing. Let's hope we can get something good here. This is not good. It's tough fighting that thing. And we got a 3. So we've done 3 damage to the creature. That moves it down to a 6. So it's getting close. All right, now the creature will activate, and it's going to move up to its maximum, keeping as many creatures or targets in line as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He has all 3 in range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for targeting. And it's going to be the Magus this time. All right, the Magus has a defense of 36. Here is the roll. He got a 0.5. He missed. That is great. We'll move on now to the Woodsman. The Woodsman has his axe, and he has a stride of 5. So the Woodsman will move 1, 2, 3, 4, getting himself into combat position. He has 1 point of movement left. Now, what we can do, we're next to that magnifying glass, and as a part of our activation, we can do something called interact. A character may interact with one feature on the map, such as a search token or skill die. So that's what we're going to do. We'll see what that's about. Well, a search means he has to roll a d10, and that will tell us what happens. So we'll try it. That search token will be removed from the board, and we'll roll a d10. The result is a 2, and that is the character is hurt by a trap or natural hazard while investigating and receives 1d4 snare damage. Okay, so the Woodsman is going to take snare damage. We'll check any of his special abilities here. Doesn't look like that's anything that's going to be useful, but he does have this fossilized knuckle bone, and that says exhaust for the rest of the story to re-roll 1 die. So we're going to do that. We're going to re-roll this thing. We got a 9. That's good, and that means success. The character can draw 1 card from the items deck. So let's make a draw from the items deck and see what we got. And that one is a Mandrake Root, used to reduce damage from one enemy attack by half. It's a consumable. All right, we'll give that to the Woodsman. And then this card is exhausted for the rest of the mission. Okay. Well, now he's going to launch his attack on the Restless Spirit. I think I'm going to have to go back and look to see if I did that or not yet. No, I guess he hasn't launched his attack yet, so we will do that right now. Here's the Woodsman's attack. He's looking for 43 or better. He's going to gain +4 might. We got a 32. He missed. Oh, boy. Okay, that is the end of his turn. So we'll end the round, and we will restart our round with the Magus. Magus will move. He has 4 stride. 1, 2, 3. That'll put him into combat position with the Restless Spirit, and he'll make his attack roll. Okay, here we go. He rolled an 0-2. That was almost a fault, but it is not, so it's just a miss. We'll move on to the next one, and that is the Witch Hunter. Witch Hunter will move. He has a stride of 4. He's out of ammo, though. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. He won't be able to attack this round. The Restless Spirit is now going to activate, and since he is a ranged creature, he's going to move as far away as possible, keeping as many people in range as possible. 1, 2, 3, 4. He can target 2 of them, so it'll be a 1, 2, or odd even, I guess. It's an odd, so he's going to go after the Woodsman. Okay. The Woodsman is going to be at -10 defense because of that faith roll that he failed. So that's not going to help him too much. It'll put him down to 26. And this creature is going to gain +3 from its might for the Dusk mission. And he's hit him, 78. And 8 is that soul drain. The power drains from the power within you diminishes. Lose 2 Vita and 2 power points. If you do not have enough power points, lose an additional D4 Vita. Okay, well, the Woodsman does have it, and then I'll move him down to 2 Vita. We'll put him down to 7. And 2 power points puts him down to 3. Okay. All right, and now the Woodsman will activate, and he will try to move and attack, I guess. So he'll move 1, 2, 3 and attack the Restless Spirit. This thing has 6 points left on it. Okay, he's going to use his Woodsman's axe. Here is the roll. He's got a 59, and that's enough to hit it. That's great. So he is going to do 1d4 damage +2 for his damage bonus. Okay, here we go. A 3. So he's got 3, 4, 5, 6. -2 is 4. That's going to put this thing down to 2, which is not bad. It's down to 2 damage. All right. That will finish the Woodsman's turn, and we will go back to a new round. And in this case, the Magus is going to activate, and I think we're going to have to try to get in back of this thing. Magus has a stride of 4, so he'll move 1, 2, 3, 4 onto the sarcophagus. He can't see the creature. He's not in combat range, so that'll end his portion of the turn. We'll move on to the Witch Hunter. The Witch Hunter is going to have to do the same because we're blocked out here. We can't go through there. So I guess he'll move 1, 2, 3, 4. He'll move there. That will end his round, and then the Restless Spirit is going to activate. It has a stride of 5, and he's going to try to get in a position to get as many people in range as possible. 1, 2, 3, and line of sight, incidentally, is any corner of the space that the creature occupies to the target. So you could draw a line from that corner to that corner, and that would put his line of sight in place. So it'll be odd or even for the targeting, and it's even, so that'll be the woodsman again. Not good. And here's the attack roll. 79, and that's a hit. The 9 is the active roll, and that's the soul drain again. 2 Vita and 2 power points against the woodsman. Woodsman is down to 5, and he's down to 1 power point. Okay, and we'll move on now to the woodsman himself, and he's going to close on the creature. 1, 2, 3, and launch an attack. We'll see what happens with this. Let's hope we can kill this thing. And here's his attack roll. He's going to gain +4 might. He rolls a 92. That's a hit. We've got him. We've hit that creature. And he's going to get +1, D4 +1 for the weapon, and +2 damage bonus. Okay, here's the damage roll. We rolled a 4. We've got him. 4 +1 for the weapon is 5, +2 for the damage bonus is 7, -2 for his absorption, and we've killed this thing finally. All right, finally did it. So we'll read the card here, and it says, after the fight, you have successfully eliminated the evil that was lurking within the Goran tombs. You were not able to save those that ventured recklessly into this foul place before you, but perhaps now the dead can be buried in peace. Your skin prickles as you sense other dangers in the countryside. There is still much to do in order to rid the Lank of its afflictions. Okay. I think they meant land. Okay. So now what would happen is we would gain the lore and coins for each of the creatures that we killed, and each character would gain that benefit. Now, as this was just a sample playthrough, we're not going to record any of that stuff. When we begin our actual real mission of the story in Storybook 1, we're going to start out fresh with all the characters at their full strength. But I think that this story demo was useful in giving me some experience in operating these encounters. And I did learn quite a bit in the fact that I need to have these keywords on a sheet for myself for all of these weapons, like Focus 1 and what does Sacred mean, have those easily accessible to myself. And it did teach me a little bit about how to use the attack and defense tactical options in the game. But there's a lot to keep track of. You have to be extremely focused. If you're playing this solitaire, you've got no one to correct you, so everything is on your own head, or shoulders I should say, during the playthrough. So I hope you enjoyed this, and this is something that I'm going to bring to the channel probably once a month, and I'll probably do it at the end of each month. Now this is already the 25th of January when I'm recording this, so more than likely we won't see this again on the channel until the end of February. And we'll be starting with Story 1 in Book 1. And that'll be our actual first mission of the campaign. And I hope you enjoyed this. I think this is really a very, very fun game, and it's well produced. I mean, if you look at these tiles and stuff, I mean, the artwork is just off the map. And it's really a lot of fun. The interactions with the different types of enemies that you have. They have these special powers and stuff. I mean, this feels like a role-playing game with a dungeon master. It's that good. So this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club signing off with this demo mission that we had, Spiritual Unrest. And I look forward to seeing you again in the near future with another video. And once again, we'll probably be returning to this once a month, and we'll play through the stories in that kind of a sequence. If this is something that the viewers enjoy, I can maybe do this twice a month or something. We'll see how it goes. I'm not sure how interested the viewers will be in something like this, but we'll probably try this for right now once per month, and then we'll have our regular programming of the things that I bring to the channel as it comes in. I'll have a new game ordered that I've been kind of watching for in recent times, and that should be coming tomorrow, as a matter of fact, from Amazon. We'll also be getting, on Monday, I'll be getting my delivery of 5 more of these Vita trackers, so we'll be in much better shape for when we do our campaign start for Folklore the Affliction. So thanks for watching, and I appreciate your views and likes. And we'll see you next time on the Solo Gamers Club. Have a good evening.